I'm with Mark, and we're going to be asking some questions about getting around town in Rome. So, Mark, tell us about when businesses and offices on campus are open and closed.
The Italians are a very family-based society rather than work-based, so they might open at 10 a.m., they might open at 11 a.m., they close from 1 to 2, perhaps, and then close at 5 p.m. So there's not a whole lot of hours if you really have anything to do important. However, it's really not, I never really had to worry about those hours because I didn't do anything that I needed a business for. So things that are open late are restaurants and, tobacco shops, which is really the only thing you need after hours anyway, so that's not a problem, but that does happen, so just be aware of it.
Okay. Are there any holidays where the whole town shuts down?
The only thing, I can't recall if there are any holidays. Typically the holidays are more in the Italian summer, which is maybe late July, early August, or August and September. It's a little different than the United States. So if you're in the first session, maybe not run into anything really. Second session, perhaps, I'm not sure. Just check the calendar before you go. Sundays are pretty much empty. Nothing really goes on Sundays, as you know, it's as expected. And the World Cup will be going on while you guys are there, which is going to be awesome. So things might not be open because the owners are busy watching the World Cup game, but they know go watch it with them. Don't. So that'll be fun.
Cool. Tell us about how you got around town.
Okay, you guys will likely be there for 30 days, maybe give or take a few. Just walk everywhere. If you are in, no man's land, you have no idea where you are, you can find a train station, buy a bus pass for €1.50 and get home. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I would not recommend ever riding the bus. Can I look at you?
Either.
I would not ever recommend riding the bus. You're only there for a month. It's not hard to walk, and it's the prettiest walk you've ever seen. It's not, a journey. It's not, work to walk. It's a pleasure. So leave 30 minutes early and get there on time. Take the scenic route every time. And trams, should I say, run, down most major streets in the middle of them. Those are handy to get down, long stretches if you're tired and your feet hurt. Buses go around town. Very not on time, very unreliable, so to say, especially early in the morning or late in the afternoon. So just plan accordingly if you're going to either leave early if you're going to walk, or plan accordingly, to accommodate for perhaps limited bus service, because they're not really reliable at all.
And Metro, that thing will shut down the subway system.
Yes, I did not actually ride that once. I don't really know if anyone did,
okay.
But when we were in Sorrento and Naples, and there was a transportation strike. That wasn't really cool because there were no trains, no metro, nothing was happening. Luckily, we had a tour bus or whatever. We hopped on a bus. I don't really know how that works, but that can happen. So Metro, I don't even know. Couldn't tell you. Didn't use it, so I guess that says something about it.
Okay, so as far as going from Rome to other towns, how did you get around if you went on a weekend trip?
Sure. Every weekend trip that I went on, I believe 3, was by train. You can spend, up to about €28 on a train, and that's a nice one. You get your own seat, you get a little car. It's nice, it's pretty, it's fast. Or you can spend €4 and get a standing room only train that, might be a 2-hour trip. Both of those are good. I've taken both of them. €4 is, not very much at all. From Rome to Naples was about €4. Standing room only kind of sucked. But then again, it wasn't €30. So I saved a lot of money. But, if you have money to spend and you don't want to do standing room only, shell out. It's worth it.
Okay. Do you have any good recommendations on where someone should travel?
Yes.
Or not travel?
Yes, definitely. So Venice, you will hear mixed reviews on Venice. Some people say it smells. Some people say it's too crowded. It's still Venice. It's one of the most beautiful places ever. Just take a trip. It doesn't smell. Unless you go into the dungeons, and maybe drink the water. I wouldn't do that. But if you go to Venice, it's awesome. It's worth it. Florence, you guys will probably be taking this is Mississippi State. So I don't know. The U of A group is taking a Florence trip.
Okay.
So if you're in the U of A group, you take a Florence trip. I'm not sure who I'm speaking to, so I can't say for sure. But Florence is awesome. It's so much, art packed into one little space. If you are into art at all, go to Florence. Even if you're not, I'm not into art. It was the coolest thing ever. It takes more than about a weekend to really get the feel for Florence, but it's a mistake not to go at all, or to not go at all. So Florence, Venice, best place to go, however, is Sorrento. And I say Sorrento, I mean the Amalfi Coast. There's Sorrento, Massa Lebrunese, Positano, Amalfitana. I believe there might be an Amalfitana. I'm not sure. Those are the coastal towns on the mainland of Italy. To get there from Rome, you will take a train from Rome to Naples, about 2 hours. I spent 40 euros. You can spend up to 30, like I said. Then we took a tour bus sort of thing. We paid 4 euros for that, about a 45-minute journey through the mountains, going out, on cliffs, to the coastal towns. From the coastal towns, you can stay there. They're all beautiful, super cool place. Just like, you're like, oh my gosh, this is where I want to stay the rest of my life. You want to call your mom and dad and say, okay, I'll see you in 30 years. I'm not coming home. But you can also go from, I believe, any of those coastal towns to Capri. It's a very small island. It's expensive, but it's worth it. My group, personally, took a boat. We had a driver. He drove us around the island. We hung out. We swam. We cliff jumped. Cliff dove, and that was awesome. It's the most beautiful water ever. It's like it's like magic. You're like, this isn't real. However, it is also worth your time to go up onto the island and not just go around it, because it is beautiful. It smells great. They have lemon everything. It's wonderful. So that is the most important trip, I would say, out of anything. Try to go to Capri or any of those coastal towns, the Amalfi Coast, and lodging down there, stay in a hostel anywhere you go. We stayed in a hostel in in Sorrento for 25 and 19 euros a night, respectively. It wasn't, the greatest lodging accommodations, but we were right in the ocean. We could see the ocean from our rooms, and it was cool. So there's no reason to spend, 80 euros on a hotel. You're not staying there. You don't want to stay in the room. Don't waste a lot of money on that.
Okay, and so as far as discounts go for students, are there any tricks or any insights you can lend?
I'm not really sure. In general, if you're a student, maybe, perhaps. A lot of bars have student nights, things like that. But you could try. It doesn't hurt to ask. Most of the museums, yes, will have student discounts. Beyond that, I can't say for sure. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to ask and say, do you guys do anything for students? They might say yes. They might say no. It doesn't hurt to ask. The museums will give student discounts, though. That is, 80% of the time you can get a cheaper ticket.
Okay. So you mentioned in Rome, if you walk everywhere, historic sites everywhere, it's beautiful to walk. Take the scenic route. But someone arrives in Rome, it's their first day, and they are trying to get on a bus. Is there any advice as far as how to operate the public transportation service?
Hopefully, when you touch down, you won't be alone, and you will kind of be assigned a guide. If you kind of go and meet, but then again, I guess you're not going to have any idea how to get to the meeting place if you don't know how to do transportation. So, worst case scenario, the buses in Rome will display on the front, I believe, their final destination. There are routes, predetermined routes, and one bus goes from, let's say, destination 1 to destination 10. The other bus goes from destination 10 to destination 1. Okay. So there'll be signs everywhere, and just like at the bus stops, and they will say the number above them, and it will say, have a list of 10 destinations or more than that, perhaps, and they will be listed in descending order of the routes. The stop you're at, because sometimes it's hard to figure out where you're at, will be highlighted on that sign. So if you can say, okay, I'm at this highlighted spot and I need to go to this place, if it's 2 down from you, you're good. Get off in 2 stops. If it's 2 above you, find the other bus that's going the opposite way on the other side of the road. And it's just look at signs. It's really tough. Even after a month, it's still not the easiest thing. But hopefully, when you get there will be an ambassador that will kind of show you around. But the signs do help. That's the only thing, really, the only advice.
Great. All right, well, you've heard it here from Mark. Thanks a lot.